Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello to you. Welcome back to the channel and welcome today to the new Aston Martin Vantage. Now, of course, with my Vantage GT8, the previous generation, this is a car that is of great interest to me, and today I'm going to get to go for my first drive to experience what it's like right here on the Goodwood Motor Circuit. Let's get started taking a proper look around it, go through the ins and outs before it is time to drive the new Aston Martin Vantage. Here we go then, let's take a walk around of the long-awaited new generation of the Aston Martin Vantage. Now, the previous car lasted for over a decade, such a successful and iconic model for Aston Martin. It took various iterations along the way, but this is an entirely all-new model. Now, I had a first look at the car when it was launched at the very beginning, up at the factory at Gaydon, but today we're out in the real world. The car is sitting here on tarmac, ready to be driven on track. So taking a quick walk around just to talk a little bit about the design, what it looks about, some of the facts and figures and numbers before we hear it starting up, jump in and go out for the drive on the circuit. Starting around the front, one of the big things about new Vantage is how it is differentiated from other models in the lineup. For example, the DB11, it has its own distinct styling. It is quite a small sports car, and if you look at the front, for example, the grille still has Aston Martin's distinct shape, but it goes right down to the floor, which gives it a completely new sporty look. The headlights quite narrow and wide out towards the edges with quite a low front end, again enhancing the sporty presence that it has around the front. This particular car painted in sapphire blue, finished with the contrasting gloss black accents around the lower parts, the carbon fibre side grille, the lightweight wheels. It's a very, very nice specification. I'm sure that's quite predictable from me, for many of you who are familiar with my Vantage GT8, the last of the previous generation. But this car works a lot with Daimler, with Mercedes, with AMG. It has the 4-litre biturbo V8 that is built in a Falterback. It's a wonderful engine, front mid-mounted. We'll take a look at that in a moment, but just as we come round towards the rear, the design work around the back, and this is one of my favourite parts of the car. Look at the shapes. Look, for example, at the shape that goes over the boot lid spoiler, the tail light that follows that is mirrored down at the bottom with the diffuser. The opposite shapes, again, very similar in style and the lines to the grille around at the front. Perhaps I think the exhaust tailpipes could be slightly more aggressive, but they sit above a very nice diffuser down there at the bottom. Very wide tyres, as you can see underneath as well. But really, round the back, I think that kind of view is my favourite angle. It's a very, very pretty looking sports car, there's no question about that. Let's just come around and have a quick glance as well at the interior. Look at the width of the rear arch as we walk past it, exactly how a car like this should be. Opening up the door, window coming down, the swan doors that open upwards and outwards, and of course this is a car that's being used on the track here today, but you have the spectral blue leather on these seats, very nice sporty seats. Just the interior of the car is completely a new generation from that of mine, for example. And if you just have a look at the inside here, the way all the controls are done, basically to be within an arm's reach all around so that you can press all the different buttons. There are quite a few buttons though. If you look around here, there is a lot. That might be button overload. The paddles are really nice. We'll see more about those while we're driving. 8-speed automatic gearbox. Right, let me just come around the other side and I'm going to pop open the bonnet so we can take a look and talk a little bit about the engine. So down under here, if I can find a lever, there we go, release that. Just come round and take a look under here. So the catch is on the top. Lift that up, and the biggest observation versus previous generation is how the engine has moved back and down. 4-litre biturbo V8, 510 horsepower PS, 685 newton meters of torque. The 50-50 weight distribution comes because the engine's up front, the gearbox is in the back. Of course, it's rear-wheel drive, rear-driven, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 3.6 seconds. A very quick, brisk sports car, as you can tell from that. But it's the new structure and quite an important car for Aston Martin. Let's just close down the bonnet, clicked into place there. But I'm going to be interested to see what it's like when we get out driving. For the moment, let me just take a step and sit inside the car and just start it up so we can see some of what we have in here before heading out for the drive. Notice that this car has the slightly squared steering wheel. Oh, the roof is nice, the headliner. These kind of things you notice when you're sitting inside with the pinholes and the striping, piping and embroidery that it has up there as well. To start it, the key is just here, the new style Aston Martin key. Pop that there, put on the brake, engine button in the centre. Into life then. So this binnacle is very different to the DB11, for example, and one thing that I'm going to point out, the sport mode button that you have on the steering wheel, if you press this, it now goes from sport to sport plus and then to track mode, whereas the DB11 goes from a more comfortable setting into sport and sport plus, so that's different for the Vantage. Of course, the engine is shared with the DB11 V8. The DB11 can be had with either this V8 or the 5.2 litre twin turbocharged V12, and being that it's from AMG, from Daimler, it's also from the AMG GTS, although in a different state of configuration. Aston Martin have tweaked it, they've revised the gearbox, so it should be quite a different drive to the similarly powered AMG GTS. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the engine and the front mid-engine configuration from my AMG GTR, but where this will sit in terms of the comparison between Vantage GT8, AMG GTR, somewhere in the middle, is what's going to be quite interesting to me on my driving experience. So I think it is time now to get prepared to head out onto the track and go and drive the new Aston Martin Vantage. Here we are then, inside the new Vantage.
Right, so we get it started first straight away. I'm going to grab the centre mirror and the side mirror, so you haven't got to worry about what's behind you. You just focus on what's in front.
Track experience. I will just say, guys, at the moment, Goodwood Circuit is notoriously quite a treacherous circuit, right?
You have to treat it with a bit of respect. Yeah. So
and
it's very fast, very flowing, but very smooth. You've got to be very smooth with this circuit. Okay. Very small inputs, basically, and look forward. So we've got you in track mode on the sport button. So we get all those lovely pops and bangs on the overrun.
Yeah, everybody
in the centre there.
Ah, automatic, electronic.
And we've got you in track mode on the suspension, so that gives a bit more weight in the steering, and obviously a little bit stiffer on the suspension, so you're in a nice sharp turning.
Okay. Okie dokie.
So all we need around here is third, fourth, and fifth. Okay.
Alright.
Loads and loads of torque from this car. So you've got 685 Newton meters, which kicks in at about 2,000 RPM.
Okay. Early.
So you don't need second. Trust me, third gear out of the chicane will come out like a train.
Okay.
So third, fourth, fifth is all you need. You might think third gear for some corners, but fourth gear is better.
Okay.
So we'll see how we get on. Okay, I'll help you with the circuit. So we'll use the paddles. We won't use the auto.
Paddles are nice.
So foot on the brake, first gear.
So like the DB11, when you pull it into first, it stays on.
It stays in manual. Yeah.
Perfect.
It won't flip to auto. So I'm going to put the cameras on to help us down this narrow pit.
Yeah.
We'll put it onto the
cameras.
We'll put it onto the front wheels there, so you can see that.
Low side cameras. Very good.
All right. So
let's start moving out. Sounds good.
Okay, so aim for the red arrow. Right over to that red arrow. Use the width. That's it. And tuck it right into the cross. That's it.
I know I didn't necessarily need fourth gear, but it sounded so good. Let's go down to third just because.
Okay. So let it come out to the left on the power then. Go. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. Keep on the power. Go on, drive it through. To the left, and then a nice straight line braking. So on the brakes now, fourth gear, third gear, and use the width. Go right over to that red arrow on the left hand side. That's it. That sets you up nicely, and tuck it in. So there's a really good front end on it, isn't it? So third gear here. That's it. So back into third. That's it. So keep it in third, right?
Keep it in third.
Okay. You watch this on the power.
Wow.
Yeah.
Picks up instantly.
So you don't need second then. Enjoying?
It's awesome. 500 horsepower in here feels really.
It's very quick, isn't it?
Plenty, yeah.
So get it tucked in a bit more here. Look, there you go.
Okay.
Then let it come out, and then back in a little bit more, and then accelerate.
So you can feel that more than enough power, more than enough torque.
Brake here, that's it. Back on the power a little bit.
It's quite playful as well, isn't it? It's a character.
It's not too clinical, is it? It's still got that nice analog feel, but it's little bit.
Okay.
Because it's quite bumpy around Goodwood.
A bit more road car style,
Yeah,
so to speak.
I find this setting is better for it on this track.
Maybe even, to be honest, go down a gear or two to use it more like a road car.
Set on the bow then. Get it tucked in.
And it picks up.
Brake,
150 nearly.
That's it.
Good brakes.
Third gear.
It's very confidence inspiring, isn't it?
Yeah, straight
you
away.
feel like you can drive it very hard from the off.
That's the first thing I found. When you get in the car, you can go quick, straight away almost.
Impressively quick.
Get it tucked over there a bit more, that's it. And then in, that's it. That's better.
Ah, there we go, yeah. The steering is super nimble as well. It feels like small, pointy, darty sports car.
So brake forth, remember use the width on the approach.
Use the width, and then a little bit tighter.
Get it tucked in, let it drift a little bit out, not much. Then back in again, and accelerate.
Ah, we're getting somewhere. Well, I think it's a car that, in a way, praises the driver quite nicely. It's quite easy to jump in and drive this thing pretty hard from the off.
Everybody today has jumped in the car and gone quick, straight away, and they've all said how friendly it feels.
Yeah. We got some nice noises as well.
Yeah. So did that feel better going into the middle setting?
It's a little bit softer, isn't it?
Yeah, just for this circuit, I think it suits it.
Feels good. Feels very good. It's nice balance, nice setup. A couple of quick laps on the track, not necessarily the full driving experience, because this car is about a car that you can enjoy driving every day, the GT luxury sports car, but then have fun when you get to the track. And clearly that sounded awesome and was a great driving experience, but it's about getting to the track as well. So let's have a quick look around the interior and what we've got here. And I really do like the styling around there on the door panel and the different shapes and materials that are used. I'm less of a fan of quite how many buttons and things we've got going on down here. You've got your heated and cooling seats, you've got your air conditioning toggles. They're nice feel, nice toggles to turn, your windscreen heaters, your reading light buttons, but there is just a lot going on. When you take in all of that, then you've got your driving controls, your infotainment. This obviously is the system borrowed from Daimler, from Mercedes, that we're familiar with, and the seat controls are really nice. Seat controls here, Aston Martin's always had them on the center console. I like how they work, the armrest style, just some aggressive shapes, a little bit of storage in there. Power socket at the back and the key socket there as well. Small parcel shelf behind us, actually quite a bit of space you can put inside the rear hatch for your luggage and things. Small shelf, but the colours in this configuration are really nice. The infotainment system, if we get it turned on, obviously has a fair bit that you can have in there as well. And then the dashboard displays can cycle through a couple of different screens and things, depending on your modes and how you have it set up. I think it's all set up for track activities at the moment. Anywho, I need to jump out because it's time for the next person to take the car for a drive. We'll have a last look around it from the outside. In terms of the visual side of the car, like I said earlier, the rear shape is really very nice. It's quite noisy. Challenge car, mini challenge car driving past. So the rear, I think the exhaust tips could be improved. The sound is good, of course. The thing looks very pretty just looking as I cross over the pit lane here. I like the carbon fiber gills. The problem I have with this car that I discovered, and obviously as a Vantage owner, I took an interest and took a look into it, is the price tag of it. I spec'd one up back when it was brand new and the first options were coming out as a potential to maybe purchase one. And I got to over £150,000, which is more than a 911 GT3, which is basically the same as an AMG GTR. And you have to put it into such esteemed company. Clearly gives a slightly different perspective. There's no doubt this is a great machine. Very good car. It sounded awesome. I've not heard it flying by from outside. You guys have already while I was driving it. Sound is brilliant. I think it looks good. I think maybe, you know, there's been some talk about the headlights at the front, about how they look a little bit funny perhaps. There are just a couple of things that for me aren't necessarily quite right. A couple of very small things about it. Some things I really like, the rear, the sound, but the front look is a little bit strange. The price tag is a little bit high, and all of the buttons on the inside are just a little bit overkill, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let me wait for it to drive back around and have a listen to it going past. It's coming then, the Vantage. Cool, not bad, not bad. Quite quick when it's right alongside us just here. After having listened to it from the outside, I definitely think that the car sounds better inside than out. But I'm trying to reflect a little bit more on the drive, and there was so much to take in. The track, the car, unfamiliarity, and not wanting to get it wrong. But really, as it starts up again, one of the things is just how pinpoint the front end is. The chassis, the setup, it's super nimble, super pointy, and very, very, very accurate. You really do feel like you're connected to it. What I'd love to do though is drive it again and get an opportunity to experience it out on the roads. You know, the Vantage is more of a sports car than the DB11. The DB11 is a little bit more Grand Tourer related, even within the V8 configuration. But I think that needs more getting to know it for me to really feed back more about it. Obviously, like I said, the put off for me initially is the price. I think I'd like to experience more, and maybe one day my opinions on that would change slightly. Just as it prepares to roll on out again, I will say farewell to the new Vantage for today. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Appreciate it as always. Be sure to stay tuned. Hopefully there'll be some more Vantage content to come in the future. That's it for this time though. I will see you again very soon. Cheers.